It's just you and me, Bob.
No buzz?
No buzz. He's on vacation.
Oh,
that
right.
lout. He's a lout. Welcome into the Rowdy Studios where we sit on Bob Pockrass Tuesday. You know, maybe we should play that cool intro we made for you. Let's play the Bob Pockrass Tuesday intro. So it's your day, Bob, and that means we get to ask you about...
I did not play. I'm not the one playing.
All right. We play it in your honor.
Okay.
Now, let's talk first of all about where we stand on some of these contracts. We know Carl Edwards has now agreed to return to Roush Fenway Racing, and he said, Bob, on Friday, it wasn't about the money.
Well, I'm sure, there was a point where it wasn't about the money. I'm sure there was a certain base where he was like, this is definitely what I probably deserve. I think it was at least possibly about more than just money. It was about stability, about knowing that wherever you're going to go, you're going to have a chance to win championship for years and years to come. I'm sure for Jack it was about the money a little bit.
Yeah, right. And it was about sitting on pins and needles for a while, Bob. How close do you think Carl came to really leaving Roush Fenway? I know it's hard to really get inside the guy's head.
It's really hard to say because, I don't think a whole lot of people know exactly how close it was. I mean, I think he heavily considered leaving, whether, when he was weighing his options, how often he was like, okay, I'm definitely leaving versus, well, maybe. I think he was, well, maybe for a long time. And I think the length of time it took him to decide that he was staying where he was kind of makes everyone think, well, he had to have been gone, and what happened, and why didn't he go?
Well, he did say that he couldn't have made up his mind any sooner. He just had to take that time.
Yeah, and he'll probably pay the price a little bit as far as people wondering, why are you flirting with that other girl over there when we're number one in the rankings right now, right? So I think he'll have a little bit of not much of a challenge, but he needs to recognize that there's probably still some hard feelings, even though he's staying, and he needs to make sure that, he understands that and is kind of compassionate towards that.
Now, talk to me about some of these other contract situations. You had a chat with Tony Stewart about Danica Patrick, and Tony said he couldn't say anything about Danica. Here's that conversation.
There are a lot of reports about Danica.
I know. I've heard all kinds of stuff.
Can you say, are you working on anything with her?
Nope.
You can't say, or you're not working with something?
Can't say anything.
So what do you make of that? It seems to me, from the outside, that she's pretty close to put something together here.
It sounds like that they're talking, doesn't it?
It does. He was very clear, not that nothing was happening, just that he couldn't talk about it.
And, it's, I think that's, everybody's been assuming that this was going to be the way it was going to end up, that she would do a partial schedule next year with him and then possibly a full-blown schedule in 2013 as far as Cup goes. So, they're talking about it now. Whether it gets done, is probably another thing. And the big question is, if she does a partial schedule next year, does then Tony try to run that car full-time? Can he get Mark Martin to come in possibly and run, 20 races while Danica does another 7, 10, 12?
Right.
It doesn't matter. As long as Danica declares points for Nationwide, she can run as many races as she wants in Cup next year and then still be eligible for the rookie title in 2013 if that's important to her, which it is apparently.
And you look at Mark Martin, I guess GoDaddy with Mark Martin has been a sponsor, and GoDaddy obviously with Danica Patrick. So there's a fit there too, because Casey Kane over at Hendrick is going to have farmers, right?
Yeah, so, and even if GoDaddy and Mark have a relationship, but even if GoDaddy doesn't sponsor Mark Martin per se there, maybe they can find another sponsor for Mark Martin. So I don't see GoDaddy sponsoring Danica and Nationwide and Mark Martin and Cup both full-time next year.
Right, too much money.
Yeah, too much money. And they're probably getting ready for Danica's, move to Cup in 2013. So I think they would need to find another sponsor for Mark.
Okay,
to be able to fill out that schedule.
Let's talk a little bit about Juan Montoya. He said he's reached an agreement with Chip Ganassi. He hasn't signed it yet, but there probably won't be a big press conference.
No, Ganassi usually doesn't do big press conferences if it's just a renewal. They're like, what's the news? He's staying here. He was here yesterday. He's here today. He'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, it's from everything we hear that Montoya will sign. I mean, now the Ganassi people, they're not really saying a whole lot, but they haven't given any indication that they're really looking for anybody else.
Gotcha. Now, what about Clint Boyer? Is he going to re-sign with Childress? Is that pretty much coming to a close here? Or do you think there's some chance he'll leave?
I think there's always a chance until he signs, because I get the feeling that he has at least tested the waters a little bit. The thing is that they need to get their sponsorship solidified. We keep hearing, we're just about there. We just need to get all the sponsorship and finances completed. Well, that's like, I'm almost done with the pizza, except I need most of the cheese and a little bit of the sauce.
Right, and I got to bake it.
Yeah, but I have all the ingredients.
Right.
I just need to put it all together. So,
nice pizza analogy, Bob.
Yeah. So, I think he'll end up there because I don't really think there's a whole lot else for him to go.
Right.
But sponsor negotiations are tricky. You may be working with somebody like in mid-level management, and then still needs to be signed off by top management. And until that's done, nothing's guaranteed.
Right, like you got to close on the house. You actually got to close on the house. Until you do it, you don't really own it. And so then the last piece of the puzzle may be Red Bull Racing and the fate of that team, right? And when you look at driver options and seats for next year.
Yeah, it's kind of expected to have heard something by now.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't kind of makes you wonder whether they'll be around next year. I think they're still working on things, but I don't think they have anything solid. And, of course, the longer that goes, if you're Brian Vickers, you've really got to wonder what's going to happen. So I think that one is the most up in the air of any of them.
All right. That's Bob Pockrass inside the garage and inside everyone's head, giving us the latest on the contract situation in NASCAR.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.